Good morning, everyone, to everyone sitting in front of me. And to those of you who are sitting in the virtual room, can I just have a sound check? Can you hear me? If you can, either raise your hand or type me a message. Okay, great. That's fantastic. Look, for those of you who are logging into this session via the virtual room, I have a camera in front of me, but I have a whole audience that I need to talk to. So there will be times that I will be looking away from the camera, actually a lot of the time, as I'm talking to the audience and as I'm talking to the slides as well. So please forgive that. If you have any questions or queries, you're welcome to pop it in the chat. We have Michael Sydney here who's monitoring the chat. I'm all open to questions as we go along, and for the audience, I'm open to questions as you go along. Put up your hand. If I don't see you as I'm trying to look at the camera, you and the slides, just sort of make a big sound so I can hear you. So I'd like to welcome you all. Thank you. I'd like to welcome you all, but what I would like to do is to get this working. Let's see. There we go. We've got a little bit of a delay. I'd like to welcome you all for about the 5th time to our Bachelor of Biomedical Science and Bachelor of Biomedical Science and Bachelor of Science course session. So many of you in the room and watching from the comfort of your own home would be enrolled in the Bachelor of Biomedical Science or in Medical Science. There will be a number of you in the room and again at home who are Bachelor of Science students. You have a bit of an interest in either biomedical space or in the allied health space, such as human nutrition, maybe psychological science, maybe sports science and pre-physio. If that's you, good news, you're in the right room. My name's Nicole Beard. I'm the program director of all of these courses. So my job is actually to oversee your academic journey and to oversee the academic program and make sure that it's the best program possible so that you guys can reach your career goals. I'm going to actually introduce you to Michael Sydney. Now I know Michael's isn't mic'd up, so I will let you know all about Michael. Michael is our first year science student coordinator. So for those of you who are in the room and at home who are in first year, Michael is going to be a great source of advice, feedback, you name it, for you guys. And you will see Michael around in a number of your first year units. So Michael's job is to help you attain your study and of course your career goals. I'd like to do an acknowledgement of country now. So the University of Canberra does acknowledge the Ngunnawal people. They are traditional custodians of the land where the Bruce campus and where we're situated right now. We absolutely acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution they make to our campus, the life of Canberra and the surrounding regions. We also acknowledge all other First Nations people on whose lands we gather. I will try and move these slides as well at the same time. Oops. So I've just mentioned who should be here. So there will be a number of you, as I've said, who are really going down that medical or biomedical focus. But some of you are interested in a Bachelor of Science where you're going to be combining great majors. So I will focus on the medical and biomedical science bit, but those of you who are interested in some of those other majors, these really align well with that human biology, that biomedical and that medical space. So I wanted to start off telling you a little bit about your course. You all know why you're here, because you applied, you accepted and you enrolled. But I often get questions from students, what's the difference between medical and biomedical? Does anyone in the room or anyone sitting at home have questions around that, or are you all feeling quite comfortable knowing where you're sitting? Oh, that's really good. I feel like we're getting the message out there. What I am going to do is I'm going to go through it again just really briefly. So for those of you who are enrolled in the Bachelor of Biomedical Science, I say congratulations, what a great degree. It has a level of flexibility that I think appeals to a number of students. So that allows you to really have that strong biomedical focus, those disciplines that are synonymous with working in the biomedical science space. It allows you to have that strength, but to combine it with a series of open electives and restricted choice. A lot of our restricted choice units tend to be in some of the other medical science disciplines, if that's what you've chosen. But what I really like about this degree is to give you that broadest perspective of how you can apply your biomedical science knowledge to allied health, such as the area of sports science or pre-physiotherapy, or also to the area of human nutrition. So you have that flexibility to be able to include those units. You do have 4 open electives to study whatever your heart desires. So think that through as you're going along. You're here, you know you're enrolled in your 4 units if you're full-time for semester 1. Think through in the next little while about what you might want to do as you go forward, what type of open electives you might want to choose. Have a look at those restricted choice. You don't have to make up your mind now, and I actually suggest you don't. I suggest you come along and you experience, but keep that in the back of your mind for when the time comes to make those choices. So with all of our courses, you are going to get foundational study in our sciences, in the chemistry, in the biology, in the maths, and I hate saying it, but in the statistics. But good news, our statistics, our maths, our chemistry, our biology is applied. Education here is all about taking what you might learn from a lecture content and integrating that and putting it in a real life scenario. And you'll notice that when you go through, you'll go to your lecture, you'll go to do your practical content. And you'll see there's that real practical and applied nature that really does relate to the medical and the biomedical sciences. Same things with your tutorials. As you all go along and you get into 2nd and 3rd year, you'll really notice we tend to use tutorial spaces to get you to integrate your knowledge and think about case studies in terms of medicine, all right, and in terms of biomedicine, and also we're sort of considering how that interrelates with those allied health. This press button does not want to work today. There we go. The Bachelor of Biomedical Science, much more prescriptive. So it does give you that same excellent grounding around that medical biomedical space. However, we don't have the same number of restricted choices in this course, and you don't have quite as many open electives. Now, there's 1 restricted choice and 3 open electives. So there is a little bit of choice. We haven't planned out your life for the next 3 years. Students often choose this who are really considering going in to eventually do postgraduate studies in medicine or dentistry. So what we've done with this course is we've put all of those units in it, we've embedded them, we've embedded that learning journey to help you reach those goals. If you get into medical school, what we really want is to make sure you are 100% prepared or as best prepared as possible. One way in which we've done this is how we've designed our medical science course. Now, in the room, can I have a show of hands for if any students considering going on to sit the GAMSAT or to take postgraduate medicine? Okay, Michael, I'm thinking that's over 70%. For those of you who are in the virtual room environment, if you could raise your hand, if you're thinking about sitting a GAMSAT and doing postgraduate medicine. So we normally see that it's at least 65% of the cohort who starts. So as you go along, I want you to think about engaging with a website or an entity called GEMSAS. They have a lot of different information about the GAMSAT that you need to sit and how and which you will be assessed getting into the various postgrad med schools. What you need to do as individuals is make sure you keep your undergraduate GAMSAT at a really good level, but make sure when you sit that entry test, your GPA at a really high level as you're going along, you're aiming for high distinctions and distinctions, guys, I know you all are. You've got to maintain that at a relatively high level, yet at the same time, make sure you devote enough time to study for your GAMSAT. Keep that in mind. I say that not to frighten you. I always think it's really important, if that's your end goal and your end plans, to have it in the back of your mind as you go along. Yes.
So just when I was looking at the units, I didn't see any physics courses. Do you have any physics courses? Just as part of the GAMSAT is physics based.
We absolutely do. Depending on which degree you're in, actually all of them will either be, you'll take it as a restricted choice or you'll take it as an open elective. Strongly encourage you to take it in second semester this year. It's called Introductory Physics. Its unit code is 10,000. Fantastic unit. It is so applied.
And is that two-part like the chemistry one where you have 1A and 1B, or is it just one?
It's just one part. So it's a 1 unit, level 1 in semester 2. That's a really good question. So something I didn't do, and I usually do at the beginning, I think I was a little bit flustered about not being able to change those slides. I didn't introduce what I do for a living. So you know I'm your program director, okay? But I'm also a teaching academic here, and I teach into physiology. So I'm a muscle and cardiac and skeletal muscle physiologist. But actually my research, and if you were to ask one of my colleagues, they would tell you I'm actually a biophysicist. So hence why I'm really passionate about physics, because as I like to say to anyone, if it wasn't for physics, your heart wouldn't beat, and so forth. So they're my two intersects. And I think for anyone, if you can choose to take physics, you are only going to benefit from it. Don't be afraid of physics. We're not expecting you to have your 11 and 12 physics under your belt. It's not a requirement. The way in which it's been designed, it's in incredibly hands-on and applied learning to help you grasp those physics concepts, which many people find a little bit difficult, but to be able to apply that into a scenario is going to help you with the rest of your course and for your future. So that was a good question. Oh, excellent. I only took 2 presses then. So the Bachelor of Science is our next course. When we talk about non-prescriptive, the Bachelor of Science is really synonymous with that. It's a non-prescriptive degree, which gives you an excellent grounding for employment in a whole wide variety of sciences. So because most of you have identified as being interested in that human biology and that medical science space, I'll focus on those majors, but I want you to know we have majors in the environmental science and in the forensic space as well. What you need to do is to choose 2 majors and 1 minor to make up your study plan. In a Bachelor of Science, you actually have a lot more room for open electives where you could choose to maybe take another minor or a major, or to choose units that interest you. If you need any help with your study plan in the Bachelor of Science, you can contact us. And what I've got is this little piece of paper here, and I'll refer to it. And for those at home, I will post this immediately after lunch up on a course Canvas site, so you have access to this. So if you need course advice, this is going to be the email address you're going to email. That'll go to our education team, and they will be able to help you or send you to me to help you with your study plans. It's really important to do this as soon as possible so we can study plan for you so that you can enrol in your units and start successfully on Monday. So just for those of you in the Bachelor of Science, I just want to talk to you about some of the majors that I think you might like to think about. There's a whole heap more, but I want you to really think about things like applied statistics, data science. They really combine, believe it or not, really well with someone who's interested in human biology or medical or biomedical science. And you can see we have 2 strong human biology majors that you might be interested in. Remember I have talked to you about those allied health spaces, and I've told you how they do have a really nice synergy with medical or biomedical or human biology. And you could take majors in human nutrition, pre-physiotherapy. What about psychological science or sports science? Just the last couple of things I want to talk to you about. We also have some forensic biology and some genetics there as well. So as I said, if you're not sure, please reach out to us and we will help you plan your study so that you can have a successful 3 years with us here at UC. So what are the strengths of our courses? Oh my gosh, I think we've got a lot. We've got some great state-of-the-art laboratories. You're sitting in a big one. This is an amazing laboratory when it's packed. It's buzzing. I love coming in and working in this lab when there's students working together, doing that hands-on learning in chemistry, in biochemistry as you go on. So this is one of our big teaching labs here. We can accommodate up to 100. And this is in a team teaching environment. And all of you who are doing chemistry, guess what? You'll get to know this lab really, really well. That really leads into the significant hands-on practical skill we offer, and we think this is a really unique feature of UC. We are all about you getting in, getting your hands dirty, and making sure you learn those essential practical skills that are important across science. They tend to be in the laboratory in terms of medical and biomedical science, but if you choose to do some of the environmental science units or take it as an open elective, you get to do some really exciting things like field work. We have significant links with government departments and industry, and you'll see some of those, some of our partners come in, give guest lectures and give presentations as well. That link with industry is so important because once you leave here, you're going to want to go out and work in industry, aren't you? So as well as having those great links and our education sort of having that industry and government department experience embedded in it, we're a research-led education. So what that means is that the majority of the academics who teach you, like myself, are active researchers. So that means in that area, we are up to date with the latest thing that's happening. And in fact, if you were doing my unit this year that Michael and I together are going to teach into, I'm actually at the moment rewriting some lectures to include some of that latest material because research-led education means that you as individuals are being kept abreast and up to date with the latest exciting happenings that are in medical and biomedical science. At this stage, I'm going to pause. Okay, I'm not going to pause. Everyone, now everyone's looked, please wave and say hello to our wonderful head of school, Professor Tariq Azaz. He's come in to say hello. Sorry about that. I realised they'd all turned. Those at home, I promise you, our wonderful head of school has just walked into the room. During lunch. So just for Tariq, Tariq's job is to oversee the whole head of science. So he's involved both from a research, from an outreach, and from an education perspective. So Tariq is the individual who brings it all together and makes sure that our science program is the best that it can be. And I think it's pretty good. Thanks, Tariq. So talking about that research and that research focus, Tariq, of course, is a research academic. And when you get to do his unit, particularly genetics and genomics, Tariq's going to talk about some really fascinating, really new and exciting areas of genetics. And I won't talk about it because I'm a mere physiologist, not a geneticist. So those, many of your lecturers will be part of, or your academics will be part of a research centre. The one that is a little bit more, the area that's a little bit more synonymous with medical and biomedical science is the Centre for Research into Therapeutic Solutions, of which I'm a member. So what you're going to learn, if I could put it in one sentence, and it's really hard to put 3 years worth of study into one sentence, one of the great things you're going to learn about when we're talking about humans, human biology, how humans work, you're going to look at the link between disease and homeostatic state. So what you're going to learn is how a normal body functions and what changes and how that changes in disease and what we can do to try and prevent disease, treat disease, and what we can do in the future. So that's more than one sentence, but that would be sort of a, if I could do a take-home message, your 3 years are going to be all about gaining those skills. The last thing I want to talk to you about is something called work integrated learning. So work integrated learning is experiential learning. It came about when industry, or those people who are going to employ you in the end, and the tertiary sector came together and decided, what can we do to make sure our students are job ready, future ready, and have those skills embedded so when they walk into a particular job or a particular profession, they have those skills that they can get into that job and be up and running. And that's an example of work integrated learning, and we really value work integrated learning here at the University of Canberra. Oh, that was excellent. Only one press. So there are many different ways in which you can undertake this experiential learning. It makes sure you're job ready. And by doing this experiential learning opportunity, it's part of a unit of your study. So it's actually in medical and biomedical science, it's one of your restricted choices. So you'll get credit points for getting those job ready skills. So you treat it like another unit. Now we have 3 particular units up for grabs for you guys. Professional practice in applied science is probably the traditional one you think about, where you get placed in an outside organisation. And I'll think about the student that I've just placed today. She's going out to Food Standards Australia, New Zealand, a government department here in Canberra. She's really interested in microbiology, and she's going on to work side by side with some of their key microbiologists to gain those skills in sort of professional microbiology, but also to gain those skills in how a government department works. Now, as you know, Canberra is the home of government departments. We've got lots of connections with Food Standards Australia, with the Office of the OGTR, where our gene regulatory body is, with ACT Health, with Clinical Measurement Sciences, with the Therapeutics Goods Administration, you name it, to name a few. There's some of the ideas of places you could undertake placement, and you would do that by enrolling in the unit Professional Practice in Applied Science, something you do in your 3rd year, but keep it in the back of your mind, because this requires some planning, some thought, and to make sure that the placement you do is going to suit what you want in your future career. Some of you might be interested in being researchers. Is there anyone who thinks that, you know what, maybe I might want to do medical research? Oh, I'm so glad I'm not the only one with my hand up. Excellent. So I want you guys to really think throughout your first couple of years of science, your science degree, about embedding a unit called Research Projects in Applied Science. The reason I want you to think about, I want you to go through your units, you go on your learning journey, work out what speaks to you. Maybe the unit Human Physiology and the Life Cycle will speak to you. That's the unit I'm teaching this semester. And you might be really interested in cardiac-skeletal muscle physiology. If you are, you would make an appointment to see me, and we would see if we could get you a lovely embedded research project where you go in, you work side by side with myself and my team. You do a little research project, you write that up, and you gain those research skills that you can't get in any other unit. There's not only cardiac physiologists here, we have people in virologists, we have microbiologists, we have people interested in respiratory infection, in neuroscience, in vision science, in the microbiome of the gut. Lots of different areas in which you can gain that research experience. So keep that in mind as you're going on. The final unit is called Science and Innovation. This is, as the name suggests, it's taking science and innovation together. So it's all about you gaining skills in entrepreneurial skills, in how to write scientifically, how to write in a way that will give you those skills that you need to perhaps move into regulation or compliance, or into policy writing in the public service. So there are 3 units. Keep it in the back of your mind as you're going along. You will probably forget this, but good news, we advertise this everywhere. I think it's really important for you to always keep things in the back of your mind so you're in charge of your own learning journey and you know what's coming up. But they're all 3rd year, so you've got a couple of years to think about those. Career paths. There's so many. I've put down a number there. There's a lot of B words in there, which really relates to sort of biology and biomedical science. I want you to think outside the square of going into a research lab and just being a researcher. What a fantastic career path, I might say, but it's not the only thing you can do. I said before, we've got so many government departments here in Canberra, and a number of our students not only do placement in these government departments, but actually go on to work in a lot of these government departments, and they might take their science out of the laboratory and put it into scientific education or into scientific policy writing or into scientific compliance. So keep thinking as you go along where you think your skills are, where your passions are, and where you might want your careers to go. And I want you to think broadly because there is so many opportunities for you using your skills that you sort of garner or you get as you're going along. You can certainly always come and speak to myself and Michael and the team if you're tossing around ideas. We won't tell you what your career is going to be, but we will be there as a sounding board to you, and it's something I do quite a lot. And of course, many of our students do go on to postgraduate study. So we did speak about the number of you who are thinking about medicine. I want you to also consider we've got other pathways, the pathway through to honours and PhD, but masters in some of our allied health. What about pharmacy? What about physiotherapy? What about occupational therapy? What about speech therapy? Have I forgotten anything? There's probably a whole lot more, but they're ones we actually offer here on campus. And I'd like to know, I love seeing some of the undergraduate students around when they're doing their masters. Oh, the one thing I did forget is medical radiation science. Often students choose to go on to that to do a master in that area, and they always find that this science degree and this science background has really set them up beautifully for a master's, and it's really nice to see them around. So your expected workload, I like to put this up. I feel like I'm being your mother here, but I really do need to say this. One unit is worth 3 credit points, and it's deemed that the total workload across semester 4, that is 1 hour. So for a typical science unit in semester 1 or semester 2, you might be doing, this is just for one unit, 4 hours contact per week, 4 hours independent study per week, or doing assignments or revising or preparing for your final assessments. So for each unit, we're looking at 8 to 12 hours per week over that 13-week semester. If you're timesing that by 4, if you're doing 4 units, it's the equivalent of a full-time job in terms of hours. So if you have a significant other outside commitments, whether it be family, carers' responsibility, or work, really come and talk to us if you don't think that full-time study is for you, because absolutely part-time study is encouraged for those who have things in their life that don't really work with a full-time study load. And as you know, a lot of our units do have night classes to facilitate that. So for all of you, I'm hoping you've enrolled in your units, or this week you're going to enroll in all of your units, because remember, teaching starts next week. If you still haven't decided, you can enroll in units next week, but that's about the last week that you can safely do that and make sure that you can be on top of content and you can be successful in that unit. So that's for next week. Now, what we do have is a bit of a catch-all. We understand that some students enroll in units, and for some reason they decide that 4 units is too much for me in my stage of my life. I need to withdraw or drop a unit. You can do that, but you need to do that by Friday, the 5th of March, because that's what we call census date. And by doing it by Friday, the 5th of March, you withdraw without academic or financial penalty. So we will remind you of this date, because there's nothing worse than you missing this date, needing to withdraw, and you will have a financial and or academic penalty. Keep that in mind. It's okay to withdraw from units, but make sure you do it early, okay? So who would you contact if you need help? Just going to give you an overview of the people you might see if you go to lunch. So our executive dean is the wonderful Professor Janine Deacon, and if you go to lunch, I'm sure you'll be able to see her, and she will introduce herself to you. We are, in terms of our education team, we have 2 associate deans of education who really oversee the whole of the faculty's education components, and they work with myself, with Michael, and also with Tariq, who you just met, to make sure that we are giving you the best experience possible and that our courses are top notch. We also have an associate dean of, sorry, that was Tamsin Kelly and Masood. We also have an associate dean of research and innovation, Diane Gleason. So if you're going down the research path, is that something you want to do in the future, you may end up going to meet Diane, and she's just an amazing researcher with really some great innovative ideas. And of course, you all met our Head of School of Science, Professor Tariq Azaz. Now, Michael Sydney is our first year science student coordinator, who for those of you in the room, you have spoken to him. So as I said before, Michael plays a really critical role in your first year journey. Now, where do I fit in? I'm a program director, so I work with all of you across all of your years. Often you'll see Michael in first year, but you will be engaging with me when you need to, when you need course advice. Whatever it is you need, I will be there to sort of talk you through things, throw ideas around. And you will also see me in your third year. I tend to go in and teach a lot in our third year units. I'm sure all of you love physiology, so you're really looking forward to your third year physiology unit. I also have a wonderful colleague, Adrian Dusting, who does my job except for the forensics and the environmental science area. So at times you'll mainly see me, but you'll also may see Adrian, and you'll all actually see Adrian in the unit communication in science because he's the convener of that unit. Now, if you need to contact us, here is our student email. And for those of you at home, I'm going to put this up for you. But for those of you here, I encourage you to take this piece of paper so you can email us if you need to. How am I going for time, Michael? Excellent. I did want to leave time for questions. From here on, we've got a lot of really busy slides. So these slides will be available to you on a Canvas site. We'll talk about Canvas in a minute. This afternoon. The purpose of me presenting them is to put some seeds of ideas in your head. Do I expect you to remember this? No. Do I remember all of this? I would say the answer would be no. I want you to know where the information is and what help, what context you have, because you need to sort of, you can't know what you don't know. You can't know what you don't know. So I'm trying to give you an overview of all the things we offer, or the support services, or the way of contacting us, any kind of student support, student connection support. So if in 6 months' time you think, yeah, I really need help with my study skills, you'll be able to go back to this presentation and find what it is you need. So the one thing I hope you all know is Student Central Building 1. It is our one-stop shop for any administrative inquiry. If you're not sure about something, if you're not sure about passwords, self-enrollment, the MyUC portal, tutorials on timetable, your ID cards, or if you're not sure about some other things, if you go to Student Central, you can either go there in person. They have lots of people there ready to help you. You can send them an email or you can give them a call, and they will be able to direct you to the correct service. So I've said what they can help with, lots of different things they can help with. There's also a team there who's able to assist international students with any inquiries about health cover. And I want you to all keep in mind consent matters, because this is an online course that we encourage all of our students to do. Now, we also have actually, in Student Centre, we have members of our team who sit there ready for students to come and ask particular questions that might be related to the faculty or to their course. So this is what we call sort of an overall course drop-in. I can't really see that very well. So this week, if you went to the Student Centre between, I think that says 10 and 12 o'clock on Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday, so from next week in weeks 1 to week 4, you'd have a member of the SciTech team ready to give you some really targeted advice. It's a great drop-in session to go into. And if perhaps your question is something they need to run by me, they'll give me a call, send me an email or send you to me, and we'll be able to make sure we give you the right advice as soon as possible. You can also, again, it's that lovely email I talk about, SciTech student inquiries at canberra.edu.au. That's a really good way to contact the faculty education team. And if they can't help you with those more administrative matters, they will involve me and we'll get that answer to your question as soon as possible. The kinds of things that we do is study plan advice. If you need to apply for credit, maybe you've been at another university and you want to bring credit in. Maybe you want to vary your enrolment. Maybe you're having issues at times with progressing through your course. Perhaps you're thinking about studying cross-institutionally, which is a thing that you can do. When the borders open, you may be thinking about study abroad and an exchange program. This is the kind of advice we can help you with, so much more specific, related to your course, related to your faculty. And this is the email address you would use, or you could go to our drop-in sessions. So how do you communicate with us? What's the best way? You can pick up the phone sometimes, but often we're running around giving our lectures. So always it's better, often it's better, rather than a phone call, emails can be better. But what email address should you use? It's really important that you correspond with us using your University of Canberra email address. You will all have access to one. We need this, and we're requiring you to use your UC email address for identity verification purposes. This is actually in accordance with UC policy. So if you send emails from your, I don't know, your generic Gmail account, we're actually not allowed to give out personal details because we can't verify you that way. Now, you need your student number and password, not only to be able to get access to your email, of course, but also to log on to campus computers, to remotely log on, to use your email, to use the My UC student portal, which you all should be familiar with, and to access the Canvas page, which I'm going to tell you about right at the end. If you're having any issues with this, send service desk or an email or give them a call, and they'll be able to give you your password so you can be on your way. So as I said, from now on, I'm really going to be giving you some overview slides. I want you to know the support we offer, just in case you ever need it. A number of specialised services, and I hope that you'll all engage with some of these as you need them. So I'm going to talk about inclusion and engagement. If anyone in the room, or of course anyone at home, has a ongoing health condition or a disability, I really encourage you to reach out to Inclusion and Engagement, who can be a great support for you, and they're located in Building 1. The sooner you do this, the better the outcomes will be for you, but do engage with them as soon as possible. For international students, any international students here, there's a great international student service, again, Building 1 at Student Central, the one-stop shop. They're a dedicated service to help you with a number of matters. For anyone who's an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander, identifies as an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander student, please engage with the Nunnal Centre. We have a medical and counselling centre that provides GPs, nursing and counselling service, and they're located in Building 1 on campus. Very popular services. We have a student welfare, area. They're again located in the student centre. They're really valuable if you need any advocacy or student welfare support from things that I really hope none of you need to have a grievance or a misconduct. But if you're having financial difficulties, if there are any problems that are impacting you and your ability to study, or anything else you might be worried about, reach out to the student welfare team. Yeah.
For example, the medical and counselling,
yep.
Is that a free service for students?
I believe it is a free service for students, yeah, which is fantastic. It gets busy, I will say, so make sure that if you can, obviously, there are sometimes emergencies you need to go there, but do check in with the best way to make your appointment with them. Definitely, I think we've got such a great we've got a really big student body this year, so make sure you make your appointment with them. Fantastic GPs, and students are really satisfied with those services. Finally, I've left it to last, is Careers UC. So we have a Careers UC team who are located in Building 1, a little bit different place too. It's about the only one that's not in Student Central. It's in Building 1. If you go to the great coffee shop, no bad, let me tell you, great coffee shop in the refectory, they're actually located on the level above that. Now, I've put this until last because I suspect it's something that you may not be engaging in your first semester, but I want you to think about it in your maybe second and third year, because they will be able to help you with a variety of things, with perhaps placement or whether or not you should be considering doing a professional practice in applied science, any other internship, career guidance, career advice, help with generating a CV, and also with finding employment. So keep that in the back of your mind to be going to see as you progress through your degree. Study skills. Gosh, how important are study skills? They really are. And I think university is a bit of a different beast to college and high school. We know that, and we've really invested in providing a variety of study skills opportunities for students. Just some stats. Last year, nearly 6,000 individual students used at least one of our study skill programs. That's about 35% of the student body. So I think that you're not going to get so many students engaging with it unless it works. So you can find study skills. They're found in Building 8 and in Building 6 in the Student Resource Centre. You can also look at this website to really get some more details. And of course, you can email them or phone them. So lots of different ways to contact them. But what might they do? A couple of things I want to point out. Amazing drop-in study help. Any help with assignment writing. General study advice on the best way to change your study practices if you felt they didn't work for you in year 11 and 12. They run these sessions both in the library and also online and in a virtual room. Two things that I think are really important for you guys are some of our help sessions. So I'll start with a peer-assisted learning session. I cannot recommend this highly enough. For the majority of our first year units that you're studying, as well as your lectures, your tutorials, all the help you're getting in class, we actually have a peer-assisted learning sessions. They run throughout the week at all different times, and they're sessions run by your peers for you. So if you are struggling with chemistry or perhaps not achieving the goals you want to in chemistry, you would go along to a Chemistry 1A Pell session. And the outcomes for this have been really positive. Same thing for concepts in biology. All of those big first year units will have these peer-assisted learning sessions. The timetable will be published on our Canvas site. It usually happens at the end of week 1, but I encourage all of you to attend those sessions. They're timetabled in such a way that almost everyone can attend at least one session. There's multiple ones. Now, maths and stats. I saw some people sort of looking a little bit scared when I mentioned statistics. We actually have it's called MASH. We love an acronym here at the University of Canberra. We have a drop-in session that helps us with maths and stats questions. It's manned by our fantastic maths and stats team. So it's found weekdays in the MASH Centre, and there will be definitely the drop-in hours will again be published on our Canvas site at the end of week 1, so you know when you can speak to this team to get some help and advice if you need to. A lot of other support that's available. I'm going to leave it at that, except to really mention the academic integrity model. It's a course that helps students develop strategies to avoid plagiarism and to make sure you're referencing effectively and correctly. So you're acknowledging those sources of text you're using in all of your assignments. Now, access is via the Study Help site. However, what I do want to tell you guys is that you will have to do the AIM module as part of one of your units. So keep that in mind. I spoke about those of you who did Year 12 last year, and you had an interesting time in that you were, part of the time you were working at home, maybe in an isolated environment. I'd love to see you guys connect with other students. So there's a number of ways you can do this. We have a UC Student Mentor Program, and it's where we have some of our second and third year students involved in a particular area, maybe in biomedical science or forensic science, who can mentor you throughout your first year and then beyond. It's a great way to connect with students and get that peer-assisted mentorship. Details are here, and again, they'll be up on our Canvas site. Another way to connect is through student societies. We've got 3 great active student societies, one in forensic science, one in environmental science, and a new one that I'm pretty excited about is UC Supporting Women in STEM. This is a new one. These 2 have been running successfully for a while. Again, guess what? All of these details are going to be up on the Canvas site for you, so you can engage them. You don't need to be a forensic student to join this society. You might be interested in forensics. If so, please join this society. Did you notice the society was missing? medical and biomedical science. I sent an email to hopefully all of you yesterday inviting you to tell me if you're interested in having a biomedical and medical science student society. Nothing would make me happier is if we had a number of individuals, whether first, second, third year, come together, champion this society, because I think it is a fantastic thing for students in the medical, biomedical, human biology area. Good news, I have put a link on my fabulous piece of paper here, so you don't have to go to your email. You can instead go onto a SurveyMonkey link and give us your details. So what we're looking for is for you to identify what interest you have in a society, whether you want to be a champion for the society and help create it, whether you want to have an office bearer position, or whether you just want to go to certain events. I'm asking you to go on and do this survey. Let us know. If we have enough interest, I'm going to support you all the way to make sure you have a student society. It's a student society run by students for students, but myself and of course Michael will be there to give you ideas and really help get this up and running. I would love to see this, so I really hope that if you feel you can, you'll participate in making this really successful. You're the biggest science cohort on campus, biggest sub-discipline, so I'd love to see you have a society. The last thing, I guess one of the last things I wanted to talk to you about, I said Canvas about, I don't know if anyone's keeping count. I reckon it's about 7 times. So Canvas is our learning sort of management system. So for all of you, you will have access to Canvas, and it's also called UC Learn. Why it's called 2 names, who knows, but it is. So you will be able to log on to your Canvas site, and what you'll see is you'll see a number of tiles. You will see one that looks like this, but if you're enrolled in Chemistry 1A, you'll see a tile for Chemistry 1A, and for all of those units you're enrolled in. Engage with all of those tiles and all of those Canvas pages for those units, because that's where you're going to get communication from a unit convener, where the PowerPoint slides for your lectures are going to be, and where all those other materials and readings that you might need to help you be successful in your study, it will all be published there. You also have a tile for all of the students in science. So I keep saying I'm going to put something up on Canvas, I'm going to put something up on Canvas. It is here where today's slides will be. We communicate with you as a cohort that way. If there are opportunities that come up, sometimes we get volunteer opportunities. Sometimes we get job opportunities come up. Sometimes we have put together some really exciting opportunities for you in terms of around career progression or career advice. We advertise all of that there. All of our resources that you might need will be up on this site. So please engage with it regularly. Good news, when I make an announcement, you automatically all get an email from it. I try to not do that very often because I think it becomes the boy who cried wolf. So we tend to be strategic about it, about what we give you, but I'm definitely going to email you all about census date and some other things that are coming up. So when I'll announce that and you will get an email, but do log on to the site, have a look around and see what we have for you. And those of you who are social media-y a bit more than me, although I tweet, I must say, I've become quite a good tweeter. You can connect with us on Facebook and at UC SciTech via Twitter. Now that's where I wanted to end for all of you. I am happy to take questions and have it recorded. So I will stay here for a couple of minutes. If no one approaches me, I will stop our session. I'll stop recording, and I'm happy to take questions one-on-one if you want to. Michael, do we have any?
Yep, someone's just put their hand up, so once they've written through.
Sure. If you've remembered 10%, you know, if you can remember exactly 10% of what I said, that is a success. We've given you a lot of information. You know at least, okay, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's something if I'm struggling later on, I know there's something on that Canvas site that I can look into that can help me. So yes.
When is the deadline for changing the time slots of your units and stuff like that?
I believe, and I could be wrong because I think unit conveners can do their own thing. Is it up until the end of week 1, or are we?
It is up until the end of week 1. If, and it depends on the sort of the reasoning, if something has come up that's unprecedented or unforeseen, please email your unit convener or myself, and we can certainly help out. But the general rule is up until week 1.
Okay, and I'll just repeat that for those at home. So the question was, when is the last date in which we can change our allocation in our particular pracs or our particular prac times? In general, it is until the end of week 1. I really, really encourage you to be making those decisions now, because the longer you leave it, the less chance you have of swapping as our prac and our tutorial classes fill up. So there's a question online, do we need to have our USI and TFN ready for enrolment? I'm not sure what USI means. Tax file number is TFM. What I'm going to suggest that you do is you reach out to the Student Centre or Student Central ASAP. So what I might do is at the end of this, I'll get Michael, can you put in their phone number and their email address? Actually, what I can do, oh, can I do this? I'll go back through the slides that those at home can see, just where those details are. This is, oops, no, there we go. Do we have any more questions from anyone in the room? And do we have any more questions from anyone online? Oh, unique, thank you for that. Unique student identifier. So hopefully that you can see those details about this Student Central, and they will be able to give you that really targeted advice. Please don't be stressed. I would say I wouldn't be stressed. Getting set up late is okay. Speak to the team, and they'll be able to help facilitate things for you. If we don't have any more questions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the microphone, and feel free to come up and ask me questions. If not, feel free to go and get ready for lunch. First in is good. We get the freshest food.